Okay, Saturday, 20th of September 2025. So, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Collapse the recursive logic. Find the meta pattern. So, this is something I kind of stumbled across over the past few months and something I kind of got really nice and adroit, we could say, skilled at. And quite competent at. And it's something I must have been doing naturally over years and years, which is collapse the recursive logic, find the meta pattern. Meaning, in whatever conclusion or thesis or whatever conjecture, or whatever thing we're theorizing about or strategizing, finding the common sub trend or thread underneath all the description, all the pattern, all the strategies. Taking all this complex thought process and condensing it, compacting it, not necessarily to a low resolution, but encompassing it and finding a way to enumerate these complex ideas in as fewer words as possible, as simple as possible, we could say, but without risk losing any information or without creating ambiguity, meaning like a low resolution version. A good example of this is an interesting channel I watched a couple of years ago. I totally forgot the name, just about on YouTube. And in one video, he said, ultimately, because I watched a few videos here and there, and he said this sentence right here. If you understand this thing, this concept, you don't need to watch my entire videos. And I'm thinking, well, there we are. You just saved me dozens more hours of watching videos. Just for that sentence right there, done. And there was an interesting conversation someone recently was talking about it in the context of dating, with regards to you should I can't remember exactly the example, but a man should just continue with his mission and don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And I thought instinctively, well, the meta pattern then is just be high quality, focus on your mission, just be on your own trajectory and focus on that as a meta pattern, the all encompassing strategy that can compress and impact all these ideas. Mm. And even with, say, finance investing, all these concepts and all these strategies and all the rest, it boils down to a few interesting rules of thumb, and that's it. And everything else can be expanded on and enumerated from those first principles, those recursive logic, all those ideas right there, the meta patterns right there, what it's all about. And that's powerful because then we are just creating, as I just said, rules of thumb, because we have all these ideas, we have all this logic and thought process and theories and beyond and observations, but then we need to condense it into, or compress it into heuristics, rules of thumb, things to remember. Even that right there, by the way, is a meta pattern right there. Heuristics, rules of thumb, things to remember. Interesting. Very, very meta. Very, 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 very recursive logically. Very, very recursive logic. Very interesting. Um, that find the pattern, find the lowest hanging fruit, we could say, mentally speaking, to remember, and use that as a make sure it's a first principle. Use that as the first principle to build on top of all the strategies. Find the meta pattern in everything, the common thread, the lowest common denominator in things. And once you've had that, once you've enumerated it, articulated it, you can see it. Use that as a founding first principle to build on other stuff, expand deeper. You could say building a house on rock, essentially having this first principle and building on it. Very, very powerful, because then we're not getting lost in the convoluted minutiae, the distractions of all this data and numbers and statistics. All important stuff. Don't dismiss loads of data and facts, but if we can enumerate and articulate and point to laws of physics, laws of finance, the laws of psychology, you name it, laws of nature, that can govern certain activities we're working and building on, or businesses we're working on, that's a strong foundation. Clean, clear, no ambiguity, no or less confusion than before, more clarity. And these first principles, they can't be broken, they just are. I did a video about this a few months ago, I guess now. The law of the chessboard, looking at the world as it is. There's no loopholes in nature, as things are, and building on from them. And you can go deeper to say not having the is or problem. Just because something is doesn't mean that there's an or attached to it. water is wet, so any ought, so it ought to be dry is immaterial. It doesn't matter. It just is what it is. And I find that collapsing the recursive logic, meaning as we go deeper down the rabbit hole, it's important, but we're not to get too stuck down the rabbit hole and we get lost in the minutiae and the details and the technicalities and all the theories and within reasons, whatever this stuff. Bring it back down to reality, all this observation and research and strategy. Bring it down to reality, because I like to be practical. Say, here's the founding principles, here's the important stuff, here's all the important data. Okay, what's the meta pattern here? What's the common thread in all these things that I can use and I can build on, I can strategize with, I can take what's that key data, what's that key principle, what's that key concept here that I can apply elsewhere in life, in business, in education, in languages, you name it. Powerful stuff. It's dragnetting in some real, but a much more elegant way and a lot more strategical and surgical with regards to here's all this data, here's this little research over here. What's the pattern? What's the pattern? What's the pattern? What's the key heuristics I can get from here, get from there? More data, more information, more patterns. Powerful stuff. Very, very powerful stuff. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff mentioned now. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.